Join us in just a few moments' time as we head to Road Atlanta Short for a fist fight in Skip Barber race cars. UK&I Monday Night Skippys coming up next. Round 3 of Monday Night Skippys here on RaceSpot TV and now racing live. Rachel Whiteford and Connery Maddock bringing you all the racing action. And yes, we're back for a fist fight in week 3, a quiet run at Bathurst, one of the harder tracks this season. We're here at Road Atlanta Short, Connery. We've got 54 drivers signed up. This is going to be a barroom brawl to remember.
Yep, and like we were discussing before the broadcast, we have 54 cars currently out there just finishing their qualifying laps right now. It has been an open qualifying for the past 20 minutes here at Road Atlanta. Of course, we're doing the short version of the track this time, so that means no turn 6, 7, and 8. After turn 5, which is just after the S's section, they're going to turn a hard right and sweeping right straight down the back straight and then down the hill towards 10A and 10B.
Certainly is, of course, Connery. And this track, very short, but, well, not too wide as qualifying just closes to an end. We're going to have a quick run through on your qualifying order. But the track, very difficult, and we're up for a real fight here. We're going to run through your qualifying orders right now. So, to the grid. Mark Turner on the pole for another time this season so far. Tom Ward, second place. Bill Fraser in third, with Fumantinides in fourth place on row 2. Row 3, Andrew Leach and Jake Tucker. Row 4, Keith Sharp and Stuart McFadden, with Robert Plumley and Stuart Hancock on row 5. Rest of those positions on your screen. Connery, this track is narrow. There's a real flow to it, but this is going to be a very tricky race for these guys to do in one piece.
Yeah, it really is, Rachel, and especially with those 54 cars that we have out there on the grid right now. Well, they're starting to get onto the grid. But as you can see, Matthew McMahon, right at the back of the grid, 54th, he starts way before the Suzuki Bridge. That is pretty insane. He's got like pretty much a quarter of a lap until he gets to the green flag.
Certainly is, and that's going to be a very tricky start for these guys to complete here, Connery. As you mentioned, they're up at the bridge. This is crazy. So keep your eyes on this one, guys. This is going to be a massive, massive battle tonight, and one we certainly look forward to seeing. The grid will go off in just a few moments' time. But Connery, predictions?
Well, unless we get single file very, very quickly coming down into that S section of turn 2, 3, and 4, then we may well be seeing a lot of incidents just after turn 1 heading in towards that section with the blind corner of turn 2.
It certainly is, as, well, we're getting ready to go for the green flag in just a few seconds' time. Thanks to everyone who tunes in every week. You are what makes this series, the viewers, the fans, the drivers, You are all a part of Monday Night Skippies here on RaceSpot TV. And well, speaking of the drivers, they're about to go toe-to-toe here in what is going to be probably one of our biggest fights we've seen so far. Huge grid. The road drivers perhaps not liking dirt as much as the rest of us do, Connery. And, well, I think there'll be a few of them in the dirt tonight regardless.
Yeah, perhaps we might see that. And we're still waiting for one of the notable members that we're still waiting for right now is Tom Ward, who is now taken to the grid. Just there he is. We're only a couple of seconds away from the green flag now, Rachel.
We are. The engines will rev. Lights will come on the Iris in Gantry. And the green flag will fly here at Road Atlanta. 22 laps. And it's a great start by Bill Fraser. Tom Ward, reasonable, but not great. Mark Turner with a good getaway out front. Bill Fraser will strike before they even reach turn number 1. And a big sweeping run by Fahim Antonida is going to get a big run with a wide entry to 1. And round the outside goes Bill Fraser into first on the first lap. It's 3 wide for second place. Antonides, Turner and Ward. Cars on the grass, cars in the air. Just behind them, the pack swarms through the S's as cars go off the track left, right and centre. Everyone's still facing the same direction, though, Connery, somehow. We've no idea how they're doing that.
Yeah, right at the back of the pack here, 3 wide coming through the S's. That was the 386 Luke Ashton Jones, Wayne Barman in the 77, and Neil McGinty in the 23. Is he still going 2 wide as they come through what's basically turn 5 here on this short circuit? Look at the front now. That is going to be Bill Fraser. He's going to come under the Suzuki bridge, and he's looking to be the likely leader of this first lap.
He certainly is. I just saw 3-4 wide action going on a little bit further back in the pack. 2 cars pulling off the track to the side. On the inside as they head through the chicane for the first time. But we look back to the front of your field, and it is in fact Bill Fraser just about leading the way at the moment, ahead of the car belonging to Mark Turner. Tom Ward of Humanitas also involved in this one here. Andrew Leach, Jake Tucker, Keith Sharp, Stuart Adcock, Stuart McFadden, Robert Plumley, your top 10. But look at the horde behind Robert Plumley. That's Mick Watson, Cox, Daniels, Loynes, Maltby and Sully. The train's not really broken up here. Very short lap, Connery. We're looking at about 1 minute and 5 seconds on average for a lap around this place. You get all the action of the S's. You get all the action of the run down towards the chicane. But you don't have the big loop at the end to calm your tempers. This is fast and furious racing.
Yeah, here's the move for second place by Tom Ward on Mark Turner, coming into what would be the full course 10A and 10B, but that's pretty much like 10, 6 or 7 on this racetrack right now. As further behind, there's also Jake Tucker looking to make a move.
Just saw some big contact with Simon Maltby, actually. We'll have a quick look back at as they took the chicane there. Maltby on the outside of a 3 wide here with Sully and Mathers there. 3 cars don't fit into the space from 2 behind them as well. Gary Tall in the mix. The replay showing on your screen as they fan out again. 3 wide non-stop here. 4 wide, in fact, as they ran down the hill towards the start-finish line there. As an engine blows on, I believe that was one of the banana machines. Possibly Barry West.
It was the 46 Stuart Mathers.
Mathers engine blew. So that's 1 car out at the moment. That's one thing not be able to find here, of course, Connor. We know the Skippies need to get clean air to keep the engines cool. There's going to be no clean air around this racetrack. Give us a couple of laps. We'll be in lapped traffic, and there'll be nowhere to hide.
Yeah, and while we were looking at that replay, Tom Ward, perhaps the principal engine blower in this series, well, he's made his way to the front right now in that 09 machine. He's currently leading them around. Bill Fraser's going to be second place. Mark Turner, third place. Jake Tucker just hang on to the back of them, but it's still pretty much a train for third place all the way back to, well, you can probably count Stuart McFadden perhaps on the tail end of that train, but the top 9 have pretty much broken away.
Yeah, they certainly have. Top 9 breaking off in this one here as just behind him, Mick Watson, Robert Plumley there, top 9 and 10. So it's technically 8th place backwards we're looking at. Actually, no, McFadden is on his own just ahead of them, so Adcock is the last of that group. Out front, Tom Ward, Bill Fraser there, hanging on. Mark Turner has dropped back, perhaps seeing the writing on the potential wall of a fight between Bill Fraser and Tom Ward, 2 of our most spirited drivers here. Could be something worth staying out of. Keith Sharp back in the series. Not seen him on track in a while. He's running up there in the 6th spot at the moment. Connery just ahead of them. We're seeing a move by Tucker on the outside of Antonides as they head into the chicane. Makes a move on the inside of the 13 of Turner. sneak through into third.
Oh, big contact behind. Fanny Mantonides around in what the full course 10A, 10B section, and he was running to the back of by Keith Sharp, and there's a huge concertina effect as the cars behind weren't expecting it. Andrew S. Leach went into the back of Keith Sharp, and Stuart Adcock went into the back of Andrew S. Leach, so a big accordion effect down the chicane.
Certainly was. Showing a replay for you there as Antonides got punted. We mentioned Sharp hadn't been in the series for a while. Looks like it wasn't long. Well, could have done with more time, perhaps, we might say. I think in this case there's a little bit of a contact issue there. A bit further back though, we've got Matt Cox here racing for the 11th position, chasing after 10th, which is Mick Watson. Brian Loynes there as well, John Sully, Steve Hefford just behind them in this group. In fact, a very busy pack around the bottom of your top 10 here, Connery. This is from about 8th place backwards to about 14th. Got a good bit of action going on here.
Yep, there is. It's slightly ahead of that for the 5th and, well, what would be 6th place, Stuart Adcock and Keith Sharp. They're just going to get, well, Adcock's just going to get around. Here comes Stuart McFadden, maybe down here on the inside of the chicane. Not going to be able to make that work, though. But since we have so many cars in this field, so much battling happening on track, we basically need 4 more commentators to cover it all at this point.
We need 4 more cameramen and 4 more streams to cover all this action, as it's non-stop here in Monday Night Skippies. So far, 45 cars still on the lead lap. We're about 10 cars down from what we started with, because just the sheer nature of the size of this track, Connery, has eaten some guys alive here. We've had suspension damage from 3-4 wide racing. You can have a look back at your front. What do we have going on? Tom Ward still ahead, as himself and Bill Fraser pulling away from your field. They've got about 2.5 seconds here over Jake Tucker in third. Was really contributed to by the contact with Antonides there and Sharp, so that's really broken these two away. 2.5 seconds here, and they're running clean. Bill Fraser tucked up behind Ward. He wants to stay in line. They want to go fast, break off this draft from the pack behind them, and make this a decision between the two of them. Bill Fraser could well beat out Tom Ward here, especially when lap traffic becomes a factor, and we can see it already up ahead of them, Connery. So patience, the waiting game, is the name of the day.
Yeah, exactly. The first bit of lap traffic they'll come up on is Wayne Palmer in that number 77 car. He's just heading his way to turn 1 as these guys in the lead are coming up to it right now. And Bill Fraser has to be careful being so tucked up to the gearbox of Tom Ward, because we know that these skip hours can have engine issues when they've been running in dirty air. Tom Ward knows all about that, and Bill Fraser may need to keep that in mind as he follows him close coming through the S's. There was some battling behind involving Stuart McFadden and Robert Plumley. Stuart McFadden still managing to keep ahead of Plumley though.
Certainly is just about there, as we'll keep an eye on Plumley's fight. Behind them though, Watson, Cox and Daniels involved in a bit of a scrap here. This is around 10th place here. Matt Cox in that pink and white machine. Just ahead of him, Mick Watson and Keith Sharp. Sharp is of course the mostly red car of the 2 red and black machines. The one that's primarily black, well, that's Mick Watson. Behind them both, that is Ben Daniels in the Union flag car. So where his allegiances lie. And Brian Loynes also moving forward. One of the newer drivers in the series, Connery. But he's making his way forwards here. Could be looking at a top 10 if he's lucky.
Yep, definitely. And he pretty much only, he has to gain about 2 more positions to make that a reality right now. He's already up 5 on his qualifying position, so well, it's definitely very, very possible as they head single file coming through turn number 1 inside your top about 22. Not really much battling going on, actually. I say that Neil Bontem's 101 car, and Fahim Anadiz in number 8. Well, Fahim Anadiz is basically on a recovery drive after an early race contact in the chicane. He's looking for a way around Neil Bontem's.
Certainly is looking for a way around, and we're not sure if he'll make that move anytime soon. Snyder's recovering from damage, Connery. He's in 16th place, racing at the moment with Gareth Dorning, Neil Bontem's Gary Tall. Tall actually looking a bit faster right now than Antonides, so that could be a way forwards. Big gap though to your lead is about 14 seconds. As the gap between Fraser and Ward last time by the line, 0.087, and it looks to be just as close again. As look at this, Fraser under the gearbox there of Ward. That's not going to do his engine any good.
Yeah, I'm saying it now. He has to be very, very careful doing that. And, well, he doesn't want to do a Tom Ward, shall we say, just have his engine blow. So he's probably going to be watching those oil temps relatively closely coming towards the end of this race as Tom Ward drifts out a little bit on the exit of turn 2. Not going to harm him, though. Looking back, though, Brian Loynes, he's in the midst of a battle between John Sully and Keith Sharp down in the, well, just outside the top 10. There's a battle for 12th, well, 11th, 12th, and 13th.
It very much is. I'll keep our eyes on that one. It's a little bit spread out, but just ahead of them, really. We're seeing the back end of this fight here with Sully, as mentioned. Ahead of him, Loynes about to make a move on Daniels, it seems, as they look towards the hairpin. The blue and yellow machine of Brian Loynes going to look to the inside here on Ben Daniels as they head down towards the chicane. Easy, simple pass there by Loynes, nicely telegraphed, makes it through, of course. Now going to go after the car of, I think that's Matt Cox just ahead of them, actually, as Keith Sharp actually had pulled away. Slow car on the outside, the line, they're going to see him, no problems for those guys. As Ben Daniels about to make the attack again here on Loynes, going to counter the move he just had put on him, up the inside into turn 1. Which is wide, and contact that hits Loynes, pushes him wide and slows him down considerably. Connery, potential suspension damage there for Loynes after an optimistic dive into 1 by Daniels.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on it and see if there is any suspension damage to the skip barber machine of the number 49, but it doesn't look like right now. He's pretty much holding the wheel straight when he's supposed to be holding the wheel straight. So, well, we'll just have to keep an eye on it as John Sully now has to run a little bit on the number 51 of Ben Daniels. This is going to be challenging for that 11th place. Well, it's going to be 10th place since Brian Loynes is down back towards the back of this group as John Sully heads towards the inside of the chicane. There's a car off the track ahead of them. That is Wayne Palmer, just getting well out of the way, not really wanting to disrupt any battles on track.
So in Arthur's just up ahead of these guys is another car which is a lap down. I think that's the number 72 machine. That's actually Steve Hefford. No, he's made his way past these guys, but somehow they're now behind him. That's what I'm trying to work my head around, but Steve Hefford didn't pass them, but was somehow scored ahead. I'm liking this logic. Looking ahead to Mick Watson and John Sully. That's Ben Daniels actually with Sully as the order's been changed up a little bit here. Bit of 2 wide racing as they ran up towards the S's there. Turn 3 down into 4, 5 and 6 here. As they will head that little cut through section here that makes this the short layout, Connery. Very fast racing. We're on lap 11 already of 22. Halfway point reached. This racing is absolutely frantic.
Yep, as we have actually a battle for the race lead. Yeah, again, that was just a change of position for your race lead. That's Bill Fraser to the front right now. And that's just going to get a little bit of fresh air in his engine, I think, from running so close behind Tom Ward. And they have the, well, they can actually fight for this as well now because Jake Tucker is about to be overtaken by Mark Turner right there. So that is the battle for 3rd and 4th going on as well. So your leaders can afford to fight now because the other 2 are preoccupied.
Certainly is, but the 4.5 second lead could go away very quickly if Ward decides to fight with Fraser, but it's a very unusual sight here, seeing Tom Ward choosing not to pop out when he has the draft, choosing to stay behind Bill Fraser for the moment, and to watch these two really pull this gap open nearly 5 seconds back, as you mentioned, to Mark Turner and Jake Tucker. And Tucker really slowing this group down here by fighting, as you say, with Mark Turner behind them. Some decent rivals here in Stuart Hancock and Robert Plumley. Plumley made his way forwards, of course, to the carnage at the bottom of your top 10. He's up into the 6th spot. Stuart McFadden, Mick Watson, Matt Cox, Ben Daniels in 10th. Well, he's been chased by Keith Sharp and John Sully.
Yeah, as we just bring some attention to some of your battles, perhaps a little bit further down your field of this 54 Carborough grid or something like that. That is just in and around the top 20 here. Rob Marshall, Tim Hancock, Hill Thurston, Craig Hobson have been battling a little bit. As again, they're going to try and change for the lead. Yep, Tom Ward is now in front of Bill Fraser for the race lead. I think they're just going to keep chopping and changing positions right now from the midpoint of the race on. Here comes Bill Fraser.
Bill Fraser goes wide for turn 1 to make a sweeping entry, and he stays up along the outside of Tom Ward. Very nearly contact there between your 2 leaders. And this will actually give advantage to Fraser here as they're starting to fight, but inside line there for 4 goes to Tom Ward. Bill Fraser has the line at this stage. Let's be very careful. Nice defensive driving there by Bill Fraser, but perhaps a little too soon to battle considering what's on the line, Connery. They've got a good clean runaway and about half the race to go. Why start battling so soon?
Well, that is well, as an answer, the only the drivers can give you right now is there's more battling back in your pack. This is Stuart Adcock and Jake Tucker. They're going to head side by side coming through the sweeping turn 5 down the hill now. There's Robert Plumley also tailing onto the back of this one as they head down onto the brakes, down into the chicane. They'll have to get single file for this one. Can't really go too wide through there as they head under the Suzuki Bridge, as these guys are chopping and changing for the race lead yet again.
They certainly are. And have a quick look back here actually at Steve Hefford in the 72 machine, fighting with Keith Sharp and Ben Daniels. Daniels just up ahead there of Hefford. And it'll go side by side across the line. Hefford up into 11th here from starting 21st. One of the bigger movers today, along with the likes of Gareth Dorning, 27th to 18th. But right now, Hefford the biggest number. He's on 10 positions gained. One of the drivers making big progress forwards. Greg D. Parmenter, he's up from 38th to 23rd. Another big climber. Survival, though, seeming to be the way to gain positions in this one at the moment. There's a lot of new drivers to the back of the grid, Connery. A lot of names we've not seen before, and that's absolutely fantastic in this series.
Yeah, it is absolutely fantastic to see as your race leaders are still battling, going side by side where they can. And, well, they're basically just figuring out which is the best place to pass on the last lap if you are behind, because the chopping and changing places so much during the course of the whole lap. It's kind of hard to figure out right now. Tom Ward's going to beat Bill Fraser to the line that time by as Steve Hefford. He has troubles in the 72.
Certainly has had troubles for Steve Hefford there as he's gone around. In fact, Maltby also around, I think, just a bit ahead of these guys. In fact, it was the same incident. We'll replay that for you. As you'll see there, cuts off Ben Daniels, gets turned around, contact there with the car of, I think that was Sully. And as Sully spins, he collects the car there of Brian Loynes. So Brian Loynes also involved in that one as an innocent bystander. He gets back on track and keeps running, but he's dropped a lot of spots, as have all the participants in that little mistake. At 15 of 22, the lap's ticking past very quickly here, Connery, before we can even blink. Bill Fraser, Tom Ward, last time by the line they were separated by 0.09. These guys are so close, but they're starting to fight. Like you said, the gap's come down already to 3.3 seconds. They need to be careful.
Yeah, they do, and even though Mark Turner and Jake Tucker are fighting, in fact, they're going to head to coming through the final corner right now. They are gaining bit by bit on that lead battle, and Mark Turner looks very eager to get this third position off of Jake Tucker, but maybe he'd be best advised just sitting in behind, just waiting for the leaders to fight and then catching them by the end. Very much so, as out front, Ward holding off Bill Fraser at the moment, Jake Tucker and Mark Turner battling behind them. It's Adcock and McFadden as a pair. Watson on his own in 7th place. Cox on his own in 8th. With Plumley being chased right now by Gary Tall. And I believe that's Neil Bontemps. It is. Neil Bontemps and Gary Tall there have moved up behind him. Gary Tall, big, moving up from 19th into 12th at the moment. We're looking for 11th if he can make a move here on Plumbers. That 147 car looking under threat as they're going to head down towards the chicane. And an easy pass lining up here for Gary Tall. Yeah, but he'll just head towards driver's left-hand side of the track, inside the line for the chicane. Should be an easy pass on the brakes coming down into here. And in fact, it is Robert Plumley just has to settle behind before the Suzuki Bridge right here. Neil Bowman still in touch with this battle, as the battle for P3 right now still rages on between Jake Tucker and Mark Turner, where Jake Tucker just got past before the before the first corner right there. He's going to lead his way coming down into turn 2 and 3. But we've got a couple of battles to watch here come the end. Battle for the lead, battle for 3rd place as well, Rachel. Well, 3rd, 4th, and 5th and 6th here, Connery, has really tightened up. Mark Turner, Jake Tucker, Stuart Adcock, Stuart McFadden. They've gained that gap, well, brought that gap down, I should say, to nothing, as the two pairs have become a foursome. And this is going to make things very interesting. McFadden holding back a bit here. Adcock going to get involved. It looks like we could have a two-way pass down into the chicane. Will it be 3? Will Adcock throw himself into this mix as Turner goes for the move on Tucker? So don't forget, there's a podium spot at stake here in these places as Tucker runs wide inevitably from the pass. Adcock will pounce up the inside line, gets it done. Also has a big run here on Turner and will look to make that move as well. Dives for the inside as a defensive line taken, aggressive defensive line by Mark Turner.
He sweeps back out, but Adcock has the spot. He concedes, he runs wider, carries some speed, defends his position. Great racing by Mark Turner, Connery.
Yeah, but Stuart McFadden looking very, very eager as well as they head into this blind turn 2-3 complex at the top of the S. Is a very tricky corner to get right. Trouble with Tim Adcock, though, in the number 21. He's hit the barrier somewhere. I believe that's coming, well, in the middle of the final corner. Actually, in fact, that's the exit of the final corner. Well, he was trying to go wide around Paul Thurston, but he got a little bit of oversteer, found himself in the tyre barrier.
Lead of the race right now, side by side, Bill Fraser and Tom Ward here on 18 of 22. Bill Fraser gets through in the chicane there on Tom Ward, but Ward's going to strike back very quickly and then go side by side down the hill as they run through that final corner and across the line. Tom Ward doesn't want to drop his lead at this point in time. They're testing the waters, seeing just where they can make a move and be at the line first here, Connery. And that's what this is. This is experimentation. When can I pass? When do I have to pass?
Yeah, as Bill Fraser will do a little bit of the, well, the cutback there coming through turn 1. He will get the lead by turn 3 right there. But, well, this is such a dynamic race here at the front. It's just 1 minute. One person's leading, the next minute the other person's leading. And you're not sure which one until you look at it, like Schrodinger's leader.
Schrodinger's leader, there it is. There's Mark Turner, Stuart Adcock, Jake Tucker and McFadden here battling for the 3rd spot on the podium and 4th, 5th and 6th on the racetrack as they are battling away here. The 4 cars very close together right now. It is Stuart Adcock actually who's out in front of this group as Martin Turner actually gets a run here. Won't be close enough to do it this time into the chicane, but might have a chance to the final corner if he gets a good run. Tucker and McFadden just waiting at the moment, sitting in line for now as here comes a move from Turner up the inside there of Adcock. Not much Adcock can do to defend it, but could go for a good undercut on the way back, and he looks set to do just that. But look at this, Tucker gets a big run, dives to the inside there, blocking off the attempt by Adcock. Tucker shoots up the inside, clears him, and will go. Adcock could try and look to the inside of Tucker to try and fight this one back. As predicted, he goes for it, but will stay in line for now. As through 2 and 3 they'll come. The blind crest there. It looks much more open on the shot, Connery, but that corner is very blind.
Yeah, it is, and it's perhaps deceiving blind if you're watching it from the TV camera from inside the cockpit. You pretty much can't see the curb as you come over the crest right there. So it's very, very tricky to get that corner perfect time in, time out.
Certainly is. Bill Fraser, Tom Ward at the front as Fraser pulls to the inside through the chicane. Lots of lap traffic ahead here. This could be very important for the race win here tonight. Tom Ward holds the line at the bridge as they'll dive down though. Bill Fraser alongside him here. Look at the amount of traffic ahead of these guys. There's about 6 cars, Connery. That's not a simple case of passing one lap car who will dive off the track for you. That's a heavy amount of traffic who are battling.
Yeah, and well, we don't really expect this in such a short sprint race, but due to the sheer amount of cars on track right now, as Bill Fraser again does his classic switchback move coming through turn 1. But look at all this traffic, and if they catch them during this S section, this can spell all sorts of trouble for the battle for the lead. It's well, here comes Tom Ward coming down the inside of the first part of the S's on the penultimate lap here, and he's going to make the pass stick before he hits the traffic, and that could be crucial.
It certainly could be here as Bill Fraser right under his rear wing right now. Not going to give up at the moment. Bill Fraser making this one work as hard as he can. Some lap traffic diving out the way, but there's a heck of a lot ahead of them here, Connery. This is not looking good. And look at this, side by side wheel contact. Tom Ward and Bill Fraser through the chicane for the penultimate time here. Bill Fraser will get the advantage, but Ward on the outside gets a better run there. And that traffic getting ever closer, more and more cars just getting out of the way. They realise this is for the lead. They want no part of this one as they're going to come across the line here and onto the final lap in Monday Night Skippys. Tom Ward, Bill Fraser, and it's 2 drivers with a chance to win this one. Will they catch traffic in time? Will they have a clear run to the flag? It's all to play for now. Who will win? Will Tom Ward, the defending champion, hold this one? He gets round on Fraser. Fraser sends the cone scattering there in a shower of poor orange cones as Tom Ward just pulls a bit of a gap now actually as they run through to the cut through for the short layout. The traffic still ominous in the distance just ahead of these guys. 3 cars that could be a deciding factor in this one. The battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th has settled down. We're not really looking at that. Tom Ward, Bill Fraser Fraser's too far back. Can he close up? It's going to take a heroic dive here. Has Tom Ward got this? Bill Fraser dives. Big run by Bill Fraser, the Scotsman. Has he got enough time to make it work? Right on the back of Tom Ward here. Gets a great run over the hill. Picks up speed. Going to come to the final corner. It's not going to be soon enough for Bill Fraser as Tom Ward will take the flag. Bill Fraser will come home in second. And Jake Tucker doesn't hold on. Stuart Adcock holds on to take third place. Going past a backwards Tom Ward. Mark Turner and Stuart McFadden, your top 5. And now I can take a breath, Connery.
Yeah, very close coming across the line for what would be the 10th, 12th, 11th and 12th places right there. Gareth Thorning, Fleeman, Keith Sharp. Very close finish coming across the line right there as the rest of your field start to trickle across the line. Not really all that many close battles. There's actually the 56 and 18. They're going to be very close. This is Philip Lake trying a last minute pass coming on Daryl Taylor. And very close towards the line there. But it's not going to happen for that particular driver as again they start to trickle across the line. I don't think there are any more battles.
There is here. Lee Deemer there side by side, I think, with Craig Hobbs. Well, it's actually Alan Patterson. That's a new one. Alan Patterson involved in the fight there is just ahead of the line. Ian Baker and Rob Marshall came across as well down in the bottom end of your top 20. Well, Connery, I think we can take a breath here because things have calmed down a little bit. We'll have a quick look at your final race results. Tom Ward comes home with a victory today with just that little bit more left in reserve. The lap traffic didn't play a role at the end, and he takes another win this season. Bill Fraser comes home second step of the podium with Stuart Adcock on the third step. Behind them, it's Mark Turner and Stuart McFadden making up your top 5, with Mick Watson, Jake Tucker, Matt Cox, Ben Daniels, Gary Tall rounding out your top 10. Well, Connery, as we round out your grid, running through those final finishing positions for the 54 drivers we had today, and that's a lot of scrolling for our poor director Hugo Louise to do. 54 cars on this track could only have spelled disaster, but to have had 30 cars finish on the lead lap is impressive. To have about 48 cars finish out of 54 is phenomenal. UK&I Skippy Racing, some of the best there is.
Yeah, it really is, Rachel, and I think that, well, first, the battle for the lead was absolutely immense between Tom Ward and Bill Fraser, but the battles throughout the field have been absolutely fantastic as well. The battle for P3 and 4, the battle just outside of the top 10, battle just outside the top 20, and it's just battles all throughout the field, no matter where you look. And, well, it was a fantastic race. The person that's impressed me the most, though, Rachel, is that car of Bill Fraser. And he did this at the start of the season as well. The first round of the season, got a good finish. And, well, things are definitely looking up for the Scotsman.
They certainly are. The Scotsman having phenomenal performances this season as he will run across the line there. As, well, second place, a great result again from him. In terms of what we're seeing on the points schedule, we haven't really got that to display for you at the moment, but we'll take a quick look at how things are sitting, Connery. We're only a couple of rounds in right now, so the point story is not quite as severe as we perhaps think it might be, and it's certainly not going to be really quite the story we're expecting to see. But it's an interesting story in itself. Tom Ward, as you did expect, with 2 races counted of 2 starts and 2 wins this season, which is fantastic in its own right. Tom Ward up there before this round counted, of course. That'll be 3 wins now. Nobody else has won this season apart from Tom Ward. 3 wins in a row. He's sitting on 60 points after 2 rounds. Mark Turner was second and Gary Tall was third. And they're almost on half his points. Can anyone stop Tom Ward?
Well, I think we've seen one challenger so far, well, at least for this race, and that is Bill Fraser. But in terms of anyone else, you gotta look, well, I don't think anyone else can challenge in that moment. I mean, Fahim Adonides had a relatively terrible race, well, today, but he could be a challenger come towards the end of the season. But Bill Fraser was the only one that was really close this race. Stuart Adcock wasn't really there 3 seconds off the leader. Mark Turner wasn't really there 3 seconds off the leader. So not many people can challenge him. And, well, if this theme continues, it's going to be Tom Ward winning at the end. But we'll see.
Certainly is. Well, folks, it's been a fantastic round this week. Don't forget you can join us same time next week for more Monday Night Skippies. This series just does not let up. I've been Rachel Whiteford. I've been joined by Connery Maddock from RaceSpot TV here and on iRacing Live. We'll see you same time next week as this series starts to heat up.